Welcome to the Curious Conversation Collaborative, a community for purpose-seeking professionals, entrepreneurs, and changemakers.
Listen to inspiring conversations with your hosts, inner leadership mentor Tessa Van Kaken and business wealth coach Karen Ravel. Hello Tessa, and hello everyone who's listening.
Hi Karen.
Back. Hi. This month we have the theme of decluttering, and we started that off last week with talking about decluttering our space and our environment. And today we're going to have a conversation around decluttering our mind and how we can do that regularly. What are the benefits of it, and why we should do it really. So Tessa, you do a lot of work around the mind, or clearing the mind and mindfulness and that. So what's your take on decluttering your mind?
Yeah, I think I think only in the last few years I've realized how incredibly important it is to declutter your mind. I mean, obviously I've been practicing meditation and mindfulness for years around being more grounded, being more present, but I never really made the direct link to decluttering. And I think even like last week we spoke about decluttering your space, and it made me realize that even though I'm kind of like a person, I'm quite happy being all over the place. I can just even if there is a physical mess around me, I can just move my way around that. But at the same time, I really realized how much of pressure, literally, it gives on your mind as well, on your headspace, literally. And that we talked about it, right? That how if you clear your environment, if there's less messiness, that you literally, your mind, it feels more spacious. You feel freer, more concentrated. So for me, that works the other way around as well, that if you have a lot of thoughts, if you're busy thinking about all kinds of things and constantly switching and, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, and where am I going and what am I doing, that also makes you very chaotic, and it also makes it harder to be more focused in your work, but also in your life, to be present, literally. So I think meditation, of course, is a way of doing that, and it's very useful. But I think the important start with actually realizing how busy we can be in our heads, and how much energy and how much that takes away from being here and doing your things. Literally, just doing your work in your life.
Yeah, and I think that's where mindfulness and something like that can help, because you're right, you're not being present and you're not being focused on whatever it is that you're doing. And I think we sometimes we just don't realize how much we've got that mental chatter in our head, and we, like you say, we're carrying around, it's like we've got lots of lists in our head, all these to-do things. And I know for me personally, I do that all the time, and then every now and then I just have to get it out of my head and write it down. I'm not great at sticking to plans and following everything through, but once I've got that, get something out, and like what are your top 3 priorities or something like that for the day, then at least you feel like, okay, now I can get focused again. Yeah. And even though you've got all that other stuff still going on, at least you can. It brings a sense of calmness, I find, that you and that focus, that you can just say, right, I can get on with that. But I know it's different for different people. I mean, we've talked about personalities before, and wealth dynamics, and I mean, someone like yourself, Tessa, who's quite a strong blaze. It's like, I can imagine you probably find it hard to do a lot of structure and a lot of planning and being organized.
Yeah, for me, I had to really learn that, like as I said, I can be all over the place, and I can be quite good in just adjusting to ad hoc stuff that comes up, and I enjoy that also. I get a lot of energy from that. But I realized I do need the structure too, because otherwise I just go too far in that and it's just too disorganized and I just don't get things done efficiently. But when I started working with organizing and being more, so trying to declutter my mind in that way and to be more organized and like making lists, I try to do it in the really structured way where you plan out your day and you say, I'm going to do this at that time. And it just drained me. It made me even more worried in my head. So I felt actually less decluttered in my head because I actually felt, oh, I'm supposed to this, I'm supposed to that, and it says on my list, and oh my God, my list said, and you know, so I noticed for me that it worked much better to have more broader lists, like, you know, just make a list of things I have to do, but not put a specific time to it. But for someone else, it might be really necessary to really work it out. So I think to declutter your head or your mind, we talked about this before, you need to also, again, to really ground yourself. So this is where meditation comes in, to really also feel then what do you need to not feel overwhelmed and to not feel that stress and busyness in your head. So it starts with also figuring out, and maybe you just already know when you really go into that space where you listen to yourself that you know what you need, or maybe you need to try it out. So do it different ways. So do start. When you get busy in your head, try different ways of working with that. Make lists in certain ways or in another way and see which one makes you feel most calm. When do you feel that when you're in your daily life and you're doing your work, that you can notice, hey, if I do it this way, I can really stay calm. I don't get that whole busyness in my head. I don't get that feel of overwhelm. I don't feel that clutter in my mind. So it's trial and error sometimes as well, I think.
Yeah, and I find it's funny because I remember back in my corporate days that you'd be working like really long hours and you'd have like lots of things, lots of projects and whatever things on your mind. And when you got stressed like that, you know, you was working longer and longer hours trying to get everything done. And people would say, oh, you know, just take a break, you'll feel better. And I never did. But what I've learned over the years that actually if you take a break, and for me personally, it's either going to do some exercise or going outside for a walk in nature. Either one of those two things just helps me start calming my mind, because then you're focusing on your body and you know, that mind-body connection kind of kicks in. And you do just naturally calm. I couldn't go from a very busy mindset to suddenly just breathe in and doing some sort of meditation. No. I have to do some sort of physical exercise in between to transition from one state to another. So again, you know, like you say, everyone's different, but it is about being aware of what's going to calm your mind. What do you need to do to actually start bringing that you know, that high state of busyness in your head down, so that you can have that clarity and often you know, the answers that you've been searching for then start suddenly pop up for you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? But I also think there is this thing of that you hear all this advice of like, oh, go walk out in nature, do yoga, do this, do that. So for some people, that becomes more things on the list, more stress, more, oh my God, I have to spend half an hour in the morning doing this, and then I'm supposed to at lunchtime do a half an hour walk, and where do I do that, and how do I do that? I think for those people who feel that any other activity brings more stress again and makes them actually more busy in their head again, then it's like start just breathing. Don't forget about meditation. You don't have to call it anything. You can even put one hand on your belly if you want, but even without that, to just in the moment that you start feeling that race of like overwhelm, when you start feeling that busyness in your head, to stop whatever you're doing and just take 1, maybe 3 if you can, breaths, just that. Don't think you need to do anything. And I think that really helps you to create that, like, again, decluttering your mind starts with changing the way you allow yourself to not stop thinking as in not having thoughts, but stop yourself from hanging on those thoughts and let your mind run away with them. So I think, and that's something like, you know, what you said, even if you need some activity to do meditation, but the actual breath, to just take 1 breath where you allow your mind focus on that breath, that it's a habit that you can create and you can do anywhere, and you don't have to set time aside to do that. And I think that's the most important, because I think most people who suffer from that feeling of clutter in their mind, it is linked to that idea, I don't have time. Yeah. So I think if you start with, okay, forget about scheduling any time to do anything, just breathe and just focus on your breath. It starts with that. And I think once you start feeling then the benefit of that, you will actually notice that will be easier to actually schedule in time for do a walk or do yoga or meditation or whatever it is that helps you. And I would like to say one other thing around, for me, what really helped me with this idea of decluttering your mind is also that you don't have to be up to date on everything. And that really helped me. I would have been the person that every morning or every few times a day would check the news sites and would do this and that. But you have to ask yourself as well, like, and then you would check your Facebook, and then you would check in with friends. But there has to be also some, if your mind is very full, that some priorities for yourself of what is it that I actually need to put in there. Do I really need to know? And it's not about not being interested in what's happening in the world, but there's also, like, you cannot know everything that's happening everywhere. And it's the same when you're doing courses or when you're doing something else. Pick some stuff that's important to you.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think when we've got into this 24/7 being switched on, you've got to find that time to switch off. And I think the 24-hour news and that, it feeds into that fear of missing out on something. Actually,
I love it's even a phrase now, right? Yes. FOMO, fear of missing out. It's actually a phrase. I think it's even in some dictionaries they took it in. But I think that is, honest to God, that's the best advice anyone has ever given to me. Said, do you really need to be knowing everything and being up to date to everything, and just leave it? Because that really helped me to calm my mind. I can do all the meditation I want, but if I keep putting information in there all the time, it just gets too much.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm disinterested, but I read about topics that interest me. And for the other ones, if someone says, oh, did you hear this and that? I either go like, no, didn't hear about it at all. And I don't care, but it's like what they can tell me. Or I think, oh, really? And then I'll look that up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. So, right. So I think the keys here are to, when you're getting too much head chatter, mind chatter, stop and breathe, get it out your head, whatever way, and then do something to just kind of calm down. Not what the last one, don't worry, don't think you have to be up to date with everything. Not everything matters. Be selective about what's important to you.
Yeah, be mindful what you put in your mind, because it takes a lot longer to get it out again.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
All right, that was great talking to you again. And I look forward to next week when we will be talking about decluttering your work and life.
Yeah. Okay, so if anyone's got any feedback or comments that they'd like to share with us, or their own tips, then please get in touch or leave us a message or a comment below. And and we'll speak to you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? Let us know in the comments or send us a message. You can find out more about us at KarenRavel.com
and TessaVanKeken.com. Tune in again next week for another curious conversation.